Hey, everybody. So I hope you're having a very good day. I am not looking at this map, but uh, I really wanted to do a video today just to analyze the electoral map. I'm not going to be talking about policy. I'm not going to be talking about what this means in terms of, the next Trump presidency. What I'm going to be doing is just talking about the shift in the electorate, the change in our kind of voting demographics, and if you stick around throughout this video, I'm going to give a couple of reasons why I think this result happened. So I hope that you'll enjoy, and let's get into it. So, the first thing that I want to discuss, which I think is a massive story here, uh, is the fact that Donald Trump is not only going to win this election, but in the modern era, this is as much of a landslide as you can have. Uh, Look, I'm not gonna lie, and I'll be honest. I voted for Kamala, and I would vote for her again if given the chance. I don't have any regrets about that decision. However, it is fair to say that Trump was deeply, deeply underestimated yet again. Um, and the fact that he is going to win the popular vote, which a Republican has not won since 2004 when George W. Bush won it, is shocking. I know people who really love him say it's not shocking to them. It's shocking to most of us. And here's why. Democrats routinely win the popular vote and end up barely winning the Electoral College or losing the Electoral College. Why? Because most of their support base is in these massive cities and on the coasts. These states are not really in question for them. And if people come out and vote, they tend to really drive up the margins. Um, in this election, that was not true. Now, here's why I think that wasn't true. If you look at this number for Kamala, what you'll see is she is probably going to end up, again, not all votes have been counted, but we're getting close. She's probably going to end up getting fewer votes than what Donald Trump got in 2020, or maybe slightly more. The point is, Democrats did not come out to vote in the numbers they needed to. It's a fascinating development, and we're going to be analyzing that for years and years and decades. But it is a fact that we're now seeing that she simply did not get the numbers she needed. Now, here's where I'll give credit where credit's due. She also didn't get the margins she needed. What do I mean by margins? Guys, if you don't know about the Electoral College, and I'm sure many of you don't, I'm sure to a lot of you it's kind of gobbledygook. The Electoral College is really about winning margins. What that means is, let's take a state like Pennsylvania here for a moment. You can see a lot of red and a little bit of blue. Why is there so much red? You might think, okay, well, Trump won. These counties have much fewer people, many fewer people, I should say, than do the larger urban counties, right? So even though she's won far fewer counties, the thought for Democrats is, yes, but those counties have the population we need. So let's take example like this one. So you're looking about around 20,000, a little more than 20,000 votes in this county, right? Clarion County. Look at what he won. He won 76% of the vote to her 23. Okay? If you do that across all these little counties, and some of them he's exceeding that number, right? It adds up to an equivalent number of what the margins in one big city are, right? Now, look, she won Philadelphia County 78-20. I think that is right around where Biden's number was. I'm trying to remember. I think that actually might be a little bit below, to be honest. And I wish that I had the number to compare to last time on hand. But the point is, she not only didn't get enough Democrats out, more Republicans, more independents came out to support Trump. that is going to be one of the massive stories of this election. And here's another key point I'm going to have to take away from this. As much as I really dislike the guy, as much as I really disagree with him on very many things, it is now undeniable this is a mandate from the American people. We can argue about if it's a mandate for his ideas. I would vehemently disagree that it is a mandate for his ideas. I think this is a mandate that states we hate the elite, we hate the establishment, and we hate the bureaucracy of this country. Kamala Harris represented all three of those things. She, whether meaning to or not, represented the prim, polished, corporate, elitist world of Washington, D.C. She represented the Biden presidency. She represents, to I think many people, the fact that this country has gone in the massively wrong direction in terms of who they represent, who they care about. For most Americans, and I can tell you, being one of these, it is extremely difficult to afford groceries. It's difficult to afford rent. It is difficult to get good health care. It is difficult to do so many things that are so basic and fundamental to a good standard of living. And I think that because of that, what you're seeing year after year is a rebellion, a slow, simmering rebellion against the establishment of this country. And so, largely speaking, the candidate who represents being non-establishment is going to do better. The candidate who seems more authentic is going to do better. Donald Trump, I think for many people, is that candidate in this election. Now, why do I say this is not a mandate on his ideas? Well, let's take a state like Missouri. Missouri, he won overwhelmingly. If we can look actually, the vote total, 58 to 40, 18 percentage point swing. He crushed her in Missouri, right? With a few exceptions. But within the state, they also had direct voting on the right to abortion access, which won. If I'm not mistaken, they raised the minimum wage, which won. In many states, by the way, people were voting to protect abortion access and to raise the minimum wage. Those are Democratic ideas. Those are leftist ideas. What you're seeing, I think, is a reshaping of the electorate around populist ideas. And I think, honestly, the more leftist ideas tend to be popular. However, there is no populist leftist candidate who is going to run. Bernie Sanders is never going to run for president again. He's old. It's not going to happen. And I don't think the Democrats are smart enough to learn their lesson and try to put up a populist candidate in 2028. But that's another video. That's another story. Okay, so how did the demographics of this race change? How did the electorate change? Well, for Kamala to have won, what she was hoping for was that it was a lie that Latinos were going to Trump. It was a lie that black men were going to Trump. It was a lie that young people were going towards Trump. And she was betting on massive turnout from suburban women, white women, and black women, and all of these groups, right? Women tend to vote more than men. We'll get the final numbers. I think that should hold true in this election. It always seems to. However, what manifested in actuality on election day was, no, women were not as likely to just completely support Kamala. And everything I just mentioned for Trump happened. Black men supported him more than they have in the past. Not in massive, massive numbers, but enough to make a difference. Young people, particularly young men, are bonkers for this guy. They love him. And lastly, most significantly, Latinos shifted massively towards Trump. So there's going to be a lot of electorate blaming. What electorate blaming means is, okay, we are going to as the Democratic Party, point fingers at all these different groups and say they're the reason we lost. That's happening certainly in Michigan, where people are pointing heavily at the Muslim voters who went for Trump in this state, without giving any real reflection on why that happened, which is very infuriating. It's very easy if you're a Democratic politician to say, well, these, stupid voters lost us this election. No, actually, you lost the election. You were running. You had a chance to make policies, to make decisions that were popular enough to get your candidate over the finishing line, right? And you didn't do it. It's wrong for them to be blaming black men, Latinos, Muslims, white women, whoever. Young white men voted for Trump. People are voting because they don't like you, because they don't like what you represent, because they don't like the direction of the country. And by the way, none of that's changing under Trump. I'm fairly certain, again, we're not going to talk policy. It's going to be an absolute mess for a few years. Not to say it hasn't been for the last 4 years or really the last many years, but the point is that no one in this country, at least very few people, feel like this country's looking out for the little guy. And that is manifesting itself in what you're seeing here. It's manifesting itself in Trump winning Georgia and driving down Kamala's margin in a big city like Atlanta and Fulton County, right? All of these things, like I live in Indiana. Yeah, this is bad. This is a bad result for a Democrat, even in the state. Only winning Indianapolis 62%, right, is not good. All of these, look, she had Tim Walz on the ticket, and she only won Minnesota by what, like 4 points? 5 points. Yeah. Guys, this is a clear shift away from the establishment. And honestly, that is a good thing. However, oh my God, did we pick the wrong candidate? Because if you think Democrats don't look out for the little guy, Republicans see the little guy like a bug, and they are about to squish. But again, I'm really trying my best not to talk policy. And look, again, credit where credit's due. I'm not, one of these people that can't accept reality. Trump won also largely because immigration is a massive issue to people, as it should be. Letting millions and millions of illegal immigrants into the country is not popular. Inflation is not popular. Price of housing is not popular. And I'm going to leave it at this. If I had one big takeaway, right, to give you, it would be this. Democrats bet the House, not the House of Representatives, but like the House of this election. They bet this election on people are going to care more about preventing a second Trump presidency and about protecting our democracy from him than they will about kitchen table issues to them, like the price of their rent, price of housing, price of groceries, price of gas, all these things. And they were completely wrong. Call it selfish, but again, we don't want to blame the electorate. It's just reality. People do not really care about the theoretical things like protecting democracy. They don't care largely. I think most people don't really know much about democracy. They don't really know much about those things. What they know is, hey, why is it when I go to buy like 3 things at the grocery store, it's $30? I can't afford that. Help. Somebody help. Right? Why can't I get good health care? When I fell and I broke my leg, why did it cost $1,000 for the ambulance to take me to the hospital? I don't have $1,000. Help. Why is it that I want to buy a house? My parents have houses and I don't have one. We're going backwards. Help. And no one's helping. So Democrats, if you want to learn anything from this election, what you need to learn is that people want you to do things for them. I know a lot of Democrats are going to say Biden did many things. He did a lot of things that I thought were pretty good. He did some things that I thought were pretty foolish. But honest to God, look down the list of issues. Democratic leftist policies are deeply popular. Legalizing marijuana is popular. The right to abortion is popular. Raising the minimum wage is popular. Free healthcare is popular. Paid sick leave, paid family leave are popular. All these things are things that people want. Common sense people want these things. You are the party that's supposed to stand up for those things. How do you lose this election? Because people do not think you will deliver. Because you don't. You had 4 years to get all of those things done, and you got almost none of them. So, lessons to be learned, changes to be made. If I were the Democratic Party, I would invest heavily in trying to find our own populist candidate to put up next time, who is going to fight like hell to get those things passed. Because if you do that, this is not a foregone conclusion. This vote can shift right back the other way. You can win all of these voters. You know how you win young men? The voting bloc that I think Democrats are giving up on the fastest, like they're just captured ideologically by Trump. Help them to afford housing, help them to afford their groceries, raise their wages, make their standard of living better. They'll like you, right? If what happens, what I think is going to happen happens, there are going to be many things to be dissatisfied with in the next 4 years. You have a massive opportunity to capitalize. Put people out who care about getting things done. That is the final message. I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day, and thank you so much for listening. If you like this video, I'd love for you to like it and subscribe. It would help me out. And I hope to make more videos like this in the future. I know this one was a little rambly, but I'm doing my best to kind of learn this space. So thank you so much. And hey, if you voted for Trump, congratulations. Let's go and talk about it. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback, any criticisms, anything like that in the comments below. Obviously, any dissent is obviously welcome. So feel free to do so. Anyways, goodbye.